Whew. All right. Welcome back to Radio Channel 1471. I'm your host, Sterling. And guess what? Guess what? I'm a little late on recording this. Well, kinda. I've tried record. Wait a second. That's not true. I haven't tried recording this before because this isn't episode 9. No. This is a new episode. This is episode 10. You might be wondering, why is this episode 10? Where's episode 9? Well, let me tell you why. You know how episode 8 was pretty much the real first episode? Well, guess what? This is already the Renaissance. Last episode, episode 9, that was the Dark Ages. This is the Renaissance, where we now write everything down. We now use sticky notes and actually know what to talk about on the podcast episode, where we remember stories, where we talk about the news, but not actually talk about the news because, I don't know. Maybe we will. One day. Maybe we will. Let me tell you, I have quite a bit to talk about. Well, kinda. Sorry if you hear any background noise. I'm having to check something real quick. I've gotta look through my tabs, make sure I know what to look for. And actually, speaking of tabs, how about this? If you do not know this segment, let me explain it as quick and comprehensively as I can make it. Okay? There is a bot on Twitter called Griffin's Question. Griffin is a member of a team of 3 on a podcast called the Mabim Show, the My Brother and Me show. They answer these questions all the time on their podcast and answer them alchemy-like with their modern era wisdom. Now, Griffin, the youngest of the 3 McElroy brothers, presents at the end of each episode one special Yahoo answer from the Yahoo Answer service. Most of the times, this Yahoo answer is a silly Yahoo answer, or question, I guess I should be saying. A silly question. Well, they always say they're going to think about it and talk about it next week. They never do. But on this show, this show, we like to answer those questions with our own style. Which means taking them as literal as possible and trying to help them out as much as we can. Now, sadly, this might be the last time we ever have one of these. This might be the final resting place of this segment. Maybe one day we'll bring it back, but sadly, the Griffin question bot actually has kind of been running out of Griffin's questions. There's not really any good Yahoo answers left. So, let's answer this final Yahoo answer, or question once again, as best as we can. What is an anime that will make my dad cry? Well, I know I said I would answer it as best as I could, and I really will. I will. But at the same time, this seems super easy. This doesn't seem that outlandish. What's the joke? Well, there is no joke. These Yahoo answers really aren't really that funny. So, still gotta answer it though. JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I'd say Battle Tendency is the most likely best chance of you getting your dad to cry. Maybe Stardust Crusaders. I didn't think it was as sad. All the other ones aren't really too sad. I think Golden One kind of tried to be sad at the end, but I feel it just didn't hit a home run like Battle Tendencies did. Or at least I'm pretty sure it's Battle Tendencies. Whichever one has Caesar Zeppeli and what's his name? I think his name's just Joseph in that one. The American JoJo. Yes. That one's probably your best chance. Now, BNA, Brand New Animal, might be another anime that could get your dad cry, but I feel like there's probably not going to be as good of a chance. What about? Oh, yes. Now, I haven't actually finished this anime, but I think Cowboy Bebop might work. It has some deeper tones and darker settings. It is about bounty hunters in space. It's pretty sad at times. It can be sad. I think there was one more. What was there? Well, I think maybe this is kind of a stretch, but maybe My Hero Academia. Now hear me out. I binge watched pretty much all of My Hero Academia, and I never came close to tears. It never got sad for me. But I do feel as if there are people who would cry to it. My example, Robbie V. Boom. There you go. He's an anime nerd, and you know what? He cried. So, I think maybe your dad might cry too. What else? As a backup for this segment, I do have some questions from the level 9000 Drew Davenport himself. He posted on Twitter 4 Yahoo Answers. 4 that I can choose from right here. Now, I already pre-picked which one I'm gonna read, but I'm gonna read them all. Is it possible to pull a muscle in stomach from drinking alcohol? If a T-Rex drank 1 bottle of vodka, would it have any effect? Where to buy a Luigi board? What does it mean if someone describes themselves as a puppeteer? Now, you might be thinking, you said Luigi board. That is because it is spelled Luigi, like the pasta man. I don't have one yet, but I'm planning on getting one. Where do I buy a Luigi board? Well, I think Mabim actually answered that one, but I don't think they answered the is it possible to pull a muscle in the stomach from drinking alcohol one. So I'm going to answer that real quick with some genuine facts I read right on Google. I looked up, is it possible to pull a muscle from drinking alcohol? It says right here that drinking alcohol actually makes it to where your muscles can't heal as good as it should. So you might be damaging your muscles if you're drinking alcohol while you already have damaged muscles. And I looked up a different question because that didn't really answer the Yahoo Answers question. So I looked up, is it possible to pull a muscle in your stomach? And it says right here, an abdominal muscle strain is a stretch or tear of a muscle in your belly. Now, you might be wondering, well, how does that tie in with the alcohol? It ties in with the alcohol because it means you can indeed pull a muscle in your stomach, technically. And, like I said prior, if you drink alcohol while you have a tear in your stomach, you might be damaging it more. So, technically, there's no proof that you can pull a muscle drinking alcohol. When in accordance to your stomach, you can probably overbend your arm or something, do a upside down U while trying to down a bottle. But no. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. The Drew Davenport, I'm not so sure that's not gonna sound as good. The Griffin's question just sounded better. But maybe, if I ask the level 9000 Drew himself, for some questions that were not released on the Mabim Man podcast. Maybe we can bring back a new segment. But, one, I doubt he'll respond, and two, I think since this is the Renaissance, we might as well make a new segment. Now, what segment would that be? What segment would overcome the Griffin's Question segment? I'll tell you right now, I have no idea. And I probably won't have any idea for the next maybe few months. At best, couple months. Well, really at best tomorrow. But in reality, I'm probably not going to find a new segment for a couple months. I don't know. Now, let's move on from the segment part of our show. Let's move on to something a tad bit more interesting, a tad bit more relevant, a tad bit more new. Something you haven't heard before. Something you don't know anything about. Now, I know that all sounded cheesy, but, I'm in a mood right now. I want to really make this Renaissance a Renaissance, you know? I really want to act out. I've been listening to music on Spotify right here while I've been recording this podcast. I technically do not right now have any music playing, but I did for the first 10 minutes of this podcast episode. So I've been having a problem with the AC, right? The AC is on for about, I want to say, 20 to 30 minutes. It stops, I record for 5 minutes, then I wait another 20 to 30 minutes. It stops, I record for 5 minutes, and then I rinse and repeat. Do you see the problem? I do too. The problem is, I don't get a whole lot of time to record. So, a quick fix to this problem would be to record while the AC is on. So, I think since this is the Renaissance, we might as well accept the AC into our hearts and live with it. Alright? Cool. Now let's, like I said prior to this little interruption, move on for the segment part of our podcast and get to something new, something juicy, something interesting, something almost akin to a story, yes? How about I do two? First, I will talk about the most recent thing I have come across, and that is music. I swore when I made this podcast I would never talk about music, but this is different. This is different. This is what I'm talking about. Here, let me move up real quick. This is what I'm talking about. CDs. Revelations in my music taste. This absolute, for lack of better words, rabbit hole I've gone down. Well, what has happened? What has happened? On my ASMR channel, I mentioned CDs, yes? I got a comment. The comment said something about, what are the CDs I have? And I had to answer. Now, I'm not really the best typer, nor really the best talker in general. I'm not really good at speech, but I tried my best to write in what my CDs are. It's mostly classic rock, and I've only actually asked for one of these 5 CDs in my entire life. That CD would be Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, The Collection. I really like that CD. It's really good. But I haven't gotten a CD in years. Or at least, I think, a year? It's either been years or it's been a year. It was during a Christmas, I want to say 2 years ago. Now, there is another CD. It is a CD I burned and compiled myself. For legal reasons, I will have to say I do not condone the piracy of music. I burned this music onto the CD, right? It's updated to music I listen to nowadays. But I felt something was missing. I felt I did something wrong. I felt I felt I had to do more. I had to get more CDs. So, the only logical thing I did was go to Needle Juice and look for good CDs to get. Well, I got Lemon Demon's Spirit Phone and Eldrin Misinformation Aged on CD. Now, I got those. Something else I got, though, was a vinyl. I'm not really a vinyl person. I don't have a record player. I got it as a gift for a sibling of mine. But at the same time, I kind of want to get into it, you know? Something interesting, you know? I do want to get more CDs though. I really do. Sadly, after spending what 41 41 bucks on a CD and a vinyl, maybe I shouldn't go buying more music. Music can get really expensive really quick. But I might as well mention what CDs I do want to get. I want to get, what's it called? That Handsome Devil, City Dressed in Dynamite. I want to get that CD and Bear Ghosts. Your parents are only marginally disappointed in your music taste. And I also want to get, what else did I want to get? Where is it? Where is it? Should be right around here. I want to get Cosmic Candy by the Orion Experience. Now, the problem with some of those CDs is that the Bear Ghost CD only has 6 songs, and $10 for a CD with 6 songs isn't that great compared to how I got another CD for I think $15, and I got like 20 something songs from that. And then there's another CD with like 13 songs for also $10. So, what's the deal with that? And then the Orion Experience one, they don't really have a CD. They have a CD on Amazon, but I do not trust Amazon with that CD because it kind of looked a tad bit sketchy. So I'm waiting for the Orion Experience to have a website. I did see that they have a website that they are working on, but I don't know how long they've been working on it. So there's a chance that website might never come, and I might never get that CD. Now, I'm not much of a person to talk about music, but I felt like that would be interesting to bring up on the podcast, you know? Since I don't really have a whole lot to talk about anyways. Something else I was going to bring up in story form is that I saw on my Twitter feed that somebody was mentioning how their family got a Carolina Reaper hot sauce and that they were afraid to try it. Now, as a connoisseur of spicy hot sauces myself, I feel it only makes sense to dwell on my own memories and talk about them now. Let me tell you. The first super spicy hot sauce I've ever tried, I do believe, is the Flashbang hot sauce. I'm not sure they actually sell it anymore because I'm pretty sure they came across some legal reasons or legal disputes because they quite literally sold something that looked pretty much exactly like a Flashbang. And that's not exactly the coolest thing to do. So they might not be selling that anymore. But that was... Here, let me look it up. I think 3 million Scoville units, but just to double check. Yes, it was actually 3.5 million Scoville units. That was the first ever spicy hot sauce I've ever tried at a Pepper Palace in San Antonio. Now, at the time, I was fairly young and ill-experienced when it came to spicy hot sauces, so it was a little much for me. I had to sign a waiver, I had to sign my name, I had to get a guardian to sign their name, just to try it. It actually, looking back on it, wasn't too bad. And I'll tell you why. The second time I've ever tried a super spicy hot sauce was in, I want to say Tennessee. It was either Tennessee or New Mexico. It was in another Pepper Palace. And this time they had a new Spice King, a new Spice Champion, standing at top in that little glass case at the front of their store with the pin board right next to it, with a waiver right there, so I can sign your name and basically burn off your tongue. Can you guess how many Scoville units this hot sauce was? I'll give you the name. The End. That's literally the name. The End. The End hot sauce. Guess how many Scoville units? If I am correct, I think it was between 7 to 8 million Scoville units. Now, here's the crazy thing. I had a tad bit more experience this time. And I entered the shop, I tried the hot sauce, and my face did not change. I had the recommended dosage, I signed the waivers, I stood there, put it on my tongue. No, nothing. No sweats, no hiccups, no pain, no anything. I don't know. I look at the store people, they're looking at me with awe. They're saying, how is this kid doing this? And then they tell a story about how multiple frat boys came in not too long before me, tried the same amount, ended up throwing up in the bushes outside. And I thought, okay, either I'm a robot like everybody at school would call me, or it's just not that spicy. Or I could have just burned off my taste buds, was actually in pain, and didn't know it. Well, I tried another, I think, if I can recall, I think I tried another dosage, and still nothing. So, of course, I had to buy the t-shirt, get the sticker, and buy the bottle of hot sauce. I now own that bottle of hot sauce today, and I've had it for, I want to say, over a year now, maybe 2, and I don't really use it too much. I have used it on burritos and Popeye's chicken sandwiches. Every now and then I go back and try it. It is spicy, but it doesn't linger. It hits you immediately and doesn't build up. It doesn't build up, doesn't go away slowly. It just kind of goes away. It's actually surprising when it goes away because you're like, where'd it go? Where'd it go? I just tried this crazy hot sauce and it's gone. Didn't need milk, didn't need water, didn't need an ice cube, didn't need to run outside and go to the sprinkler. I don't know. I think natural hot sauces build up longer, but they can never really get as high of a Scoville rating as unnatural. So, depending on if the Carolina Reaper hot sauce was natural or not, might vary in your experience. So, I guess that's my input. What else was I going to talk about this episode? Last time I tried recording, when I quote unquote did record episode 9, I was talking about how, what was it? I started watching Cowboy Bebop. I've started watching way more anime this year, which is quite weird, but it's kind of welcome. I watched all of BNA, I've talked about this before. You don't want to hear about that again. But once again, I started Cowboy Bebop. I think I'm on episode 15 right now. I'm checking right now. Yes, I am on episode 15. And right after I finish Cowboy Bebop, I think I'm going to start Re:Zero, Starting Life in Another World. After that, or before that, I might start, what is it called? Attack on Titan. You know, I might not actually watch that. I was never really interested. Nothing about it really yelled at me. this is interesting, or this is your thing. So I might never actually watch that, but maybe. I have been thinking about it. Oh man. Oh man. Oh my, oh my. What else can I talk about on today's episode? I guess I can talk about where's Twitter? Here it is. Where's my profile? Here it is. Go to my likes. Where is it? Global Furry Television. GFTV. Why would I be talking about that? Of all questions. Which is probably what you're asking. Why would I talk about that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because recently they did a test on their Twitter. It was a live broadcast. Now, you might be asking, what does that mean? A live broadcast on Twitter? Like, what? Like Facebook? What is this, Facebook? Well, I think there's some sort of broadcasting website they used, and they shared it to Twitter to where it was, you would scroll over it, and it would look pretty much like it was live news. And I'm thinking, okay, GFTV, pretty professional, doesn't have a whole lot of people who actually follow it, not a whole lot of people know about it. I guess I should tell the story first. Here's what went down. Ever since I made a Twitter for Radio Channel 1471, I started looking for, like, how do you say it? Like projects. These, like, sub-communities. Now, I know everybody listening might not be furries and stuff, but I've been looking for these sub-communities where they bring the furries together and they actually make a safe space. GFTV is probably the only one I've seen actually do a good job at that. Now, GFTV just recently came out with their Discord, but I'm probably not going to join it. I'll tell you why. It's because I don't know. I'm not really in a whole lot of Discord servers right now. I haven't been for a while, but I don't know if I should join it or not. Is it safe for minors? I am a minor, and I think that about all of these Discords, you know? But I never know the answer. I try looking for the answer, but I never know the answer. So I just take the neutral standpoint and don't join it. But out of all of these servers and subcommunities and stuff, GFTV I've seen does it the best. There's another thing called Fuzznet World, ran by a guy named Finn, and I don't know how to feel about him. I'm in his Discord server. It's in alpha right now, I think. Nobody talks in it. Not a whole lot's going in there. I think the bots he's using, kind of weird, champ. Then there's Furry Valley, which has had some flack in the past, had some troubles. They also have a Discord server. I have not joined it. One, because, once again, I do not know if it's okay for me to join it in the first place. And two, because apparently they really try to push people to be super active all the time. And I doubt I'd actually be super active. So, there's that. Fuzznet World. It has a big following. Or not super big, but thousands of people follow it. Finn, on his website, he really does make it seem like he's done a lot. But I look at his Twitter, I look at the Fuzznet Twitter, I look at his anonymous question Twitter. The anonymous question thing, that's fine. That's doing its job. It's working well. Fuzznet Twitter, mostly just retweets of Finn's personal Twitter. Mostly just updates on when he streams, his political views, and random funny stuff that I think he thinks is funny. And whatever he says, he kind of does a variety of stuff. Now, I'm not going to really dwell on these topics, but I'm just saying, the smallest thing is the best at its purpose, which I find absolutely bizarre. I find it bizarre. I really do. Think of me as a reporter. Even though I don't really report on news, think of me as a journalist. I go places most people won't to get the scoop. Get the scoop. You ask me, how am I in the Fuzznet Discord? Well, what? I might be a Patreon. I thought it would be better. His YouTube channel, the Fuzznet YouTube channel, has uploaded a podcast episode and a video about how to get over failing. I really dislike the getting over failing video. I think it really does not handle that topic well. I think it could be done better, and it kind of seems super cheesy, but I'm kind of biased against it too. The podcast episode, it wasn't what I was expecting. I thought Finn was actually gonna be the main host, but he's not, and I was a bit distraught, but at the same time I'm fine with that. It's some other dude, and I think his friend. I've never heard of these two people before, but they run the podcast. Now, it's only their first episode, so I can't really say much. Me, also just starting out, I know what it's like to have a new podcast. But at the same time, once again, there was a lot of cheesy stuff said, and I felt like it might have been somewhat scripted, but at the same time, how could they have made it scripted if it was like 3 people? It's all bizarre. It's all super bizarre. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about that. But I guess all I can really do is wait. Once again, props to GFTV. Props to Posri himself. He did interviews for a while. I think he's done 3 interviews on his channel, or the GFTV channel. I haven't watched those yet, but I've been meaning to. Well, okay, I watched a little bit of the hour-long one, and I think the first one. So, yeah. Props to him. Oh, yes, something interesting I found while I was watching or doing research on other small new podcasts. One of them had a artificial ad break. I thought it was interesting, but at the same time I was a bit confused. I was all like, these people just started their podcast. They've had a podcast for about a week or 2 now. They already have ads? No way. Apparently, Anchor actually pays you a couple of cents. I don't know what it's based off of. I think it's based off of downloads and listening time, maybe. Anchor is a RSS feed host, so you can get your podcast audio out to multiple media outlets, such as Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, I think? Yada yada. I do not trust it. 1, because apparently if you sign up with Anchor, you technically don't own some of your podcast. And 3... Did I say 3? I don't know. That's pretty much it. But I still thought it was interesting, so maybe I'll have artificial ad breaks in the future. Now that I'm looking at this sticky note, I'm wondering why I didn't look at it earlier. Melody Major. That was actually the original name for the talk show Sterling did on the Radio Channel 1471 Discord. Not server, but channel. So I'm a bit conflicted. Once again, I like the word conflicted. I'm a bit conflicted as of to whether I should change the podcast name to Melody Major and keep with the actual law and make it makes sense because Radio Channel 1471 is the channel, and it's not really meant to be the podcast name, and it's a little long. So maybe I'll change the podcast name to Melody Major. Maybe. Keep an eye out for that. There was also topics that Sterling would do, or I would do, in that server. They were kind of just made up random topics on the spot, but some of them were interesting, so I might think about making those topics come back. They're a bit spooky, but every now and then they were just kind of fun little topics that everybody could get into, interesting things. I don't know. There's not really a whole lot for me to talk about. Yeah. I think this might be one of the shorter episodes of this podcast, but what's the point of making the podcast longer if I don't really have anything of meaning to say, you know? So, I guess I should leave it off on the note that maybe I'll discuss why I didn't actually make episode 9 and what I'll do about that in the future. There's a reason behind it. And let me tell you, if my plan actually does work out and makes sense, I will bring it up. It will be kind of a surprise, so I'm going to leave it under wraps for now. It probably won't actually happen for a few months, but maybe it'll happen in the future. So remind me to talk about that later. What else should I end it off on? I have a Twitter. I have an ASMR channel. We might be getting a guest soon, maybe. Once again, if you have anything to say, leave it in the comments or contact me on Twitter. My DMs are open, and I do technically have a Discord, so I don't have a Discord, I have a account. I have an account on Discord. So maybe if you can contact me on there too. Who knows? I don't know. But wait, there's more. My producers say I should at least try to get this episode to 40 minutes long, because 40 minutes is pretty much my goal for each episode. Oh, I just noticed I didn't think about background footage, so I might not actually have background footage for this episode. I should probably look into that right after I finish editing this. I actually just got done editing the first 40-ish minutes of this, and I cut out about, I want to say, maybe 10 minutes worth of audio. I say I finished editing 40 minutes of this. I don't remember exactly if it was 40 minutes. Might have been a little over. Might have been more closer to 50. But I do not know. I do not remember. I've been paying more attention to this song I've been listening to in the background. It is called A Good Song Never Dies by Saint Motel. Saint Motel is actually a pretty good artist. Pretty good group. I've actually been wanting to get one of those CDs too. I wanted to get their one CD called, I think it was like the original soundtrack part 1, but they only sold it like once, and now they don't sell it anywhere, and I think the cheapest one I saw was $99, which is too much for me, and no way am I gonna do that. Especially since I only really want Van Horn, so yeah. I'm thinking, after I mess with all these CDs, I'm probably going to go back to cassettes, because once again, I was more of a cassette person, and I do have both a CD player and a cassette player, so I might as well. I don't know. What else was there that I wanted to mention real quick before we ended off this episode? Because I do know that there was something I wanted to say, but I guess I don't remember. Well, we're almost at 40 minutes, so Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Please leave a like because apparently last episode, 5 likes disappeared pretty much a couple days after I uploaded it. I don't know, it was weird. 5 people liked the video. Then a couple days later, there were 0 likes. So I gave it my like so that it doesn't look like it has 0 likes. It was very strange to watch. I didn't really know how to feel about it, but I was like, okay, it's probably a glitch. There's no way 5 people just unliked. But I don't know. Goodbye.